All right. We are up and running live. How are we doing, guys?
Hey, Hoop.
Great. How are you tonight? Good?
Hello, hello.
We're doing great. We're doing great. Anytime we're hanging out here on a Thursday night, it's always a good night for me. Look at this. It's like the He-Man Woman Haters Club tonight. Look at this. We got all guy night tonight here. This is all right, huh?
I would have gone out and found an appropriate shirt.
Yeah. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. So, you guys at home, we got a great guest hanging out with us tonight. We got a good friend. Todd Robello decided to come on and spend his evening with us. So, Todd, thank you so much. First of all, really
Honor.
appreciate it.
Guys.
Appreciate it. Love having you. Love having you on. I knew it was going to be fun. I knew you got in touch with you. Thought like, this is going to be a great night just to hang out and kind of chat and hit on a couple of different things and get some insight from you and hopefully have a couple of laughs to go along with it. So Todd, you've met Mike before. Obviously, we have our own Hooper over here. We have John Hooper over here.
How we doing, John?
He's our comedic and brains of the outfit here. So these guys are the fact monsters, and I just push buttons. So they keep the content rolling.
Go. That's not hard. I can tell with this group, it'll be a lively conversation.
Without a doubt. So Todd, I have a couple of comments already. We're gonna have some comments that'll pop in, and if I'm not trying to interrupt, but sometimes we'll try and kind of pop them in. Like we already got a couple of people joining us. So Mark is joining us from Massachusetts. He's saying hello.
Mark. No, Mark.
Yeah. Hey, Mark. Hello, Todd. We got Val joining us as well.
Yeah.
He's hitting in here, and we got what else? We got Doug D joining us. And when I got to Martha's Vineyard someday, we'll shop at Todd's store. Yes, that is definitely one place you want to hit without a doubt. Yeah, always one of my stops.
We have a lot of fun in the store. I try to be around to catch people. It works out pretty well most of the days.
Yeah. Todd's shop was my first when I go back. Yeah, I was just telling someone 2 nights ago, like, all right, I want to ask, where's the shop at? I'm like, all right, hit the bottom of Circuit, go up between Murdoch's and Fat Ronnie's. Like, you can't miss it. As soon as you walk in, you're gonna know.
Yep.
Show stuff on the back. You'll know which one it is.
We get Jeff. Jeff Kramer will come by a lot during the summer. Jeff Voorhees has been coming by lately, and so we it's a pretty good little meeting spot. We take it very lightly. We have fun with the tourists who come through and the Jaws fans who travel through. So it's a pretty lively place.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And we got Robert joining us from the UK. All right, Robert, staying up late.
He was well represented the last couple of days over here with a lot of people from England coming through the store.
Yeah. Definitely.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Todd, how about a little background on you? So you are an Islander. You're a native, correct?
Born and brought up here. So my grandfather in the 50s was the chief of police in town. So I'm a multi-generational, very large family here in Oak Bluffs and on the island, but mostly concentrated in Oak Bluffs. And we're spread out. So we have a lot of history. Jaws was one of the things that got added to kind of the excitement that seems to follow my family around. My dad, back in the day was one of the local people in the protection detail of Ted Kennedy during Chappaquiddick. So we got great pictures there. Probably 6 or 8 of my family members, including myself, at one time or another, served as a selectman in the town here. And I also served as All Island Selectman Chairman for the island for a period. So we've always been active, always community oriented, and we've been the benefactor of a lot of exciting things that have happened here on Martha's Vineyard. I mean, it's an experience, whether it be presidential vacations or, a lot of excitement, the movie Jaws, the, Chappaquiddick, just interesting things, some unfortunate and, with JFK Jr.'s plane crashing and, different things. Just the island seems to be a magnet for a lot of what goes on in the world. And who would know that, a little island like this would keep, giving birth kind of to some type of, domestic or international happenings. So, and Jaws, I mean, come on, 50 years. I say this to people all the time in the store. I mean, think about this. The Godfather a couple of years ago had their 50th, and probably one of the greatest, arguably one of the greatest movies of all time, and not this kind of fanfare. In 2 years, you're going to have Star Wars in a couple of years, have their 50th. And I mean, what are you going to go to Planet Zuma? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be some Comic Cons and there'll be things like that to keep it some life, but nothing like this, and I attribute that to the island because it's interactive. You come, you can go to all the locations. There's no barriers. You want to jump off the Jaws Bridge. You want to walk the jetties. You want to go sit in the areas of the beach where people have their, where the scenes took place. An interesting point this year was not a lot of people realized it, but if you stood on the bridge and looked out towards the ocean, and behind you is where the pond scenes were, and my brother, the people that played Michael Brody, when they pulled him up on the little stretch of beach there, that was a kind of a little, little inlet. It comes and goes with the storms and the tides, and
Sure.
a lot of years it disappeared, and it happened to be back this year in full force, like it was back in the mid '70s. So there were
Wow.
you'd go there. It just didn't exist. There was no place, to rest your, put a chair down or whatever, a towel down to be on the beach. It was gone.
Sure.
Reappeared this year, so, those are interesting things that, as a local, I notice, and, so this year was kind of the perfect kind of storm in a good way, scenario for the island for people to come and experience all these little things that are interactive that they can go to. So I think that's part of why the success continued, and things like Shark Week and all that kind of was fuel on the fire. And I'm seeing every demographic that there is walking through the door with this, love of this movie, and that's something I've never, just all walks of life, So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Well, especially because nothing's changed. Nothing
No.
has changed on that island. You can go and this is that. I brought my son and his family this year. Oh, you met my grandkids.
Yeah.
And and we first went into Edgartown. They pointed out there's where the band. That's what. Yeah. See, exactly. Yeah. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. I always say it's like if you're a Star Trek fan and you got to go on the Enterprise because you know where everything is and everything looks the same.
Yeah. And that's what it is. We've been very fortunate that condominiums haven't been built up around the ocean. The beaches, there's public access to most all the beaches. There's just the restrictions out there and the change. While we do have more crowds and there's a few more houses, every once in a while there's a little more traffic. It's short-lived. The month of June and the month of September are spectacular here. I mean, absolutely beautiful. And I always tell people that's the time to come. Come in June, come in September, October, and you're gonna the island's yours. And and if you watch the movie, you can go out there and experience a lot of those spots.
Sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, in fact, some of the people that are on here, came to the island for the first time this summer for the 50th. And I saw the same thing in them and I saw in myself, 10, 12 years ago, where I came to the island because I was a Jaws nut, came to the island, fell in love with the island for the island. And that's what brings myself and my family back all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, truly is. Yeah. Just an amazing place.
It's a special place, and we worry about affordability. I mean, you got to think about everybody, and we try to keep the place somewhat affordably. And at times, I tell people sometimes, maybe, if the prices are high, staying over in Falmouth and just coming over on the boat in the morning, going back at night. I mean, it's an option. It's a way, there are ways around it, but is it any more expensive than, going to Disney World or any of these other places on a vacation? Probably not. It's, you just have to plan properly. But that's always my concern going forward, is that we don't price ourselves out, because everybody, should enjoy, the island. And this summer again, things really lined up. The fact that the bus system here on the island was free for the summer, for the entire
Yeah.
year, was a big benefit to people. And yeah, you want to bring your family, you want to, but you gotta, you gotta make sure it's all within the budget for a lot of people.
Mhm.
So,
Do a couple more comments tying into what we're talking about here. Val saying, yeah, Martha's Vineyard is Amity, and vice versa. We Jaws fans can actually visit, and that's it. You can go. I had my mother-in-law in there 4 years ago. I was walking her through town with my phone, with the scenes on the phone. I mean, it is entirely unmistakable. It absolutely is. It's just magical. And Mark's chiming in. Let me see where we at here. Mark says always seem to find you by the coffee place near our buddy's touring company.
That's right. Yeah, Mark's made a few friends around, and you're right. I don't know. Maybe it's the thing as you get older, and the highlight of my day sometimes is just sitting around. I never drank a cup of coffee till I was like 52 years old. So, and one of the highlights of my day is the most relaxing time of my day is just sitting down, outside one of the shops down here, and just sitting there and having coffee, and people constantly come over and chit chat. Some of them come by and heckle, or give me a little fun harassment, and it's all good. And so yeah, Mark knows where to find me in the mornings.
Very nice. And Doug D is asking a question here for you, Todd. Says, one thing I have to ask, and I probably bugged Michael about this in message. Does anyone know if any of the original Bruce operators working the controls are still around?
Oof.
And I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I mean, they use some island people, but honestly, it was the gift of time that started to bring people out, as far as a lot of like local people doing particular jobs throughout the movie. And I probably going off the question a little bit, but because 50 years has gone by, we've lost a lot of people, and a lot of people have passed on. And as they've passed on, we've moved to different tiers of people's involvement with the movie. People that just had a scene, or just participated in the background, or now they've become relevant in the discussion. And like myself, I mean, my brother played Michael Brody. I was like the photo bomber, and I could see myself like 9 to 10 times. But people become more relevant because they have a different perspective to add to the discussion. And before, I'm going to ask my brother, if I go back 30 years ago, I'm going to ask people who played a bigger role in the movie. But it's amazing what time does, and how it's a broader perspective that we now look at, and we learn a lot more about the movie, because the Jaws at 50, watching that documentary, the books that are out like Michael's, all these different things, they expand they expand the conversation, and we're finding details. I never sat back and looked and realized there were only 8 real actors, like true actors in the movie, and yet the rest, this big movie was made around a lot of people, and time, and all this time that we dissect this movie, whether through books.
I'm not sure if the Murphys did the controlling. I know the Murphys have I know last time I visited, before Susan passed, the Murphys had the controllers, because I've held the shark control.
Yeah, they were very.
It's like an Atari thing. It's
very involved. Think how time.
This is it.
Yeah. Think about time. Yeah. How that time brought that out, and such an interest in the movie brought type of information out, and how it's become important now. And you know, it's you know, and that's what makes, again, it's what makes this particular movie so interesting and great, is there are so many working things going on behind the scenes to kind of make this production happen. And there were a lot of people, and a lot of local people had to participate in that. And that's kind of as good a story as anything else. It's not, doesn't have to be about the you know, the best actor or whatever. It's kind of the backstories of these things that are interesting, you know?
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, the island and the people that are in there are one of the characters of the movie. I mean,
Yeah.
really, they are beyond the setting. And not to not to put you on the spot, but you're going to have to tell me if I got this right. I think I might have snuck a picture of you from the film here, Todd. You got to let me know.
Yeah,
Is
that was
you?
me in the white shorts. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I thought that was you. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I got. All right,
Yeah,
I knew you were in there.
I'll be honest. You know, I'll be honest. It was 5 years ago. I was in an airport, and I was walking by, and you know, I had like a 2 hour wait, and I look up and I see, oh, Time magazine. You know, it was a Life, I don't know, Life magazine or whatever, and 45th anniversary. And so I walked over, started looking, I turned the page right to that picture, which was like the whole picture. And I go, I know those shorts. And I knew the kid, you know, but I remember those shorts, you know. But yeah, it's just, I mean, yeah, stuff like that happens, and you go, wow, that came out of nowhere, you know. But
I'm surprised no one's tried to buy them off you yet.
well, the shorts, yeah, I know it is interesting on you know, people I've probably heard the story. Geez, you know, the orca was there. How did I not get pieces of the orca? How did I get, I could have gone up there any day, just taken off planks, and you know, and there is a local guy who has the window frames from the orca, you know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there are a few people around have things that are pretty interesting, you know. So another guy has the door, I believe, to one of the sheds down in the docks from a couple of the scenes, and you know, so there are things out there that you know, people find, you know, extremely interesting. You know,
I just remember for the first Jaws Fest 2005, I was sitting with Jim Beller, and guy came in. We're watching the movie, and he goes, "I was in the movie." He goes, when the ferry doors open, he goes, "I'm the kid in the flag shirt."
sure, yeah.
First thing Jim says is, "Do you still have it? I'll buy it from you."
Yeah, I'll buy it from you. Yeah, I mean, that's the passion, you know. And I can tell you, I was guilty, and you know, even through the first Jaws Fest, I mean, I just wasn't a participant. It's not because I didn't have the love. It was coming off kind of, you know, recent passing of my brother, and you know, it just, my head wasn't there, and you know, it was, I don't know, I guess maybe towards the second Jaws Fest, where, you know, I started to spark a little more interest. I kind of gotten the passing of my brother out of my system, and then it was more about keeping his memory alive, and you know, and the rest kind of fell into pieces. And then, you know, you get a little bit more active in your business, and people are coming in, and you know, somehow they know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows you, and you know, you know, it livens up. And then, you know, once you get beyond it, and then you start to really see the phenomenon that's gone on, you know. So, and then in the middle of that, we find our own memorabilia in an attic of one of the houses, and then you realize, wow, you know, this is, at this point, it's like 38 or 39, and holy cow, we still have this stuff, you know. So
Incredible.
and now it's shared, you know. So
which is what's cool. I mean, you guys are willing to put it out there and to share it with the rest of us, which is amazing. Yeah. I've got one or two comments kind of tying in here real quick. So Val saying, Todd, your brother was tremendous in the film,
thank you.
and you honor
I used to tell
him
him,
every day.
I used to tell him, you know, that everything was great, but that I got bit by a vampire. I don't know. That was a kind of a corny, you know, I had to try to rile him up a little, because, you know, he was a comedian, and a lot of people didn't realize that, that Chris was just, I mean, he was looking for any moment to kind of, there we go. He was looking for
There
any
it is.
kind of come in and give you a little jab and have fun with you. So, yeah, so that's, yeah, that scene right there that came up.
Very cool.
Pretty
Very
cool.
cool.
Now I've been, it's a moment that I love. So.
Very nice. You had not to put you on the spot. You and I were talking while I was there back in June. You had shared a story with me regarding a picture that you had popped up recently of your brother when he was a little older. Do you remember we were talking about that with the baseball picture?
Yeah. It's funny because the first thing when I look at that picture is, the movie Stuck on You, or Stuck on Me, or Stuck on You.
Stuck on You.
Was based on, locally here, and a lot of, some of it was filmed here, and there's a scene that when I see that picture, it comes out of me when Matt Damon was on the local Vineyard baseball team, and it just kind of flashes to me when I see that picture of Chris. But that was him in high school, pitching for the Island baseball team. Yeah, no, that was good. I'm not sure, Nate. You can refresh my memory if I, took that story in a different direction, because I tend to do that a lot.
No, you had that picture, but you had posted something up, and you had written something around it in like Sharpie or something like that.
I did, yes. In fact, no, I wrote Michael Brody down the right side, 1979.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay, yeah.
We closed up the store. I'm kind of in the area where, with Jaws at 50, the documentary with, segments were filmed. And so I have that close by, and I have, there's Michael's book right down there in the case. I direct people to that all the time. And
Nice.
there we go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There it is. Yep. Michael Brody.
And I got to tell you, I ran a giveaway this year. We mailed out packages all over the place.
Yes.
And
yeah.
It was really cool. But you know what? A few people really, you just see the good in people. I got this guy, Stephen Duncan. He's out in California, and out of the blue, he's sending me boxes of stuff, and whether it be books or tapes or pictures I spent the summer. It was so much fun because I got to be like Santa Claus through the summer. Somebody would come in that you could just see, the kid, and he was all excited. He was with his parents. The parents were into it, and you got the whole family thing going on. And I'd grab one of the books that Steven sent or things, and I would take a picture with him and give him the book and it just the kindness of people like himself that would just participated. So I was including some of those things in the things I was sending out to people, and then I got a couple other things. Just people would send stuff, and we would just kind of include it in the giveaway. It was really cool. So that was kind of stuff that kind of every day was trying to pick the person who was going to get something that day in the store. When they come in with the family and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
So. You guys at home, one thing you will learn about Todd very quickly is that's who Todd is. Todd was doing that for the sake of doing that.
I'm a firm believer
definitely.
it comes full circle around, and I've been blessed. I mean, for me, and Jaws has been the gift that keeps giving in a lot of different ways, and I mean, I was devastated when my brother passed, and the kind of how this thing being just resurrecting for me. It was a healing thing for me too. We were 17 months apart. I mean, we were, I guess they call it Irish cousins or something. That's what people tell me.
Yeah.
But we were 17 months apart. So we were close, and so it was devastating when he passed it. And I told you a story that day, Nate, and I'll tell anybody.
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely.
I'll share a story. This is a tough one, but so as people know, my brother passed 25 years ago, and he had hunting. He was out hunting, but he had a massive heart attack. And I tell people all the time, and I'll use this forum as well. It saved my life because at 48, I ended up with the Widowmaker and 2 stents. and I would have probably ignored the warning signs. They were very subtle. I'd walk out, take the dog for a walk, go for a walk, and I'd feel a little tight, not tightness, but a little like little pain. I'd stop and it would go right away. And then I'd go out and take a walk then, next day, or I'll be doing something, banging nails. I'd feel a little bit of pain, but I'd stop and it'd go right away. And little did I know that, at that point I had a blockage. And, ultimately I ended up, because of my brother, I got to the doctors at the right time. And, boom, 45 minutes later, I'm in ICU. They're putting stents in the next day. So always listen to your body. If you're wrong about something, it's not the worst thing in the world, because the outcome otherwise is not a good outcome. My brother passed, had a massive heart attack. It was sad. He had, 3 kids, but we're a big family and a good family. And, we've digested it all now 25 years later. But the strange story, and this is a strange one, is the day he passed. We beat him to the hospital because he was up in Aquinnah, up on Gay Head on the other side of the island. And by the time the ambulance got in there and, they got out of the ambulance, we were right there. And, within minutes, we realized he had passed. So wasn't until I was watching recently the movie a few months back with my granddaughter. So, I don't know why this never tied together. I'm watching the movie with my granddaughter. She's 12. It was the first time she's seen Jaws. And we come to the last scene in the movie. And this was, if you remember the scene where he said about coffee ice cream.
Yeah.
What do you want? You want coffee ice cream? They kind of wheeled him right to a spot. And Lorraine Gary had spoken to him. And that's the last time you see him in the movie. Well, that was the exact same spot where I last saw my brother in real life. And I don't know how you can go back and you can bring somebody, not in the same hospital, not in this, a room in the hospital, in the same exact spot as that hospital bed that you last seen of seeing my brother. And I'm sitting there watching the movie, and I'm done now at this point, because this all of a sudden just came to me. Oh my God, this is where it all happened. Because I went to a stretch, I didn't watch the movie, and it just all of a sudden clicked, and it was one of those paranormal things. It was just, it was just like, wow, this is a coincidence that is almost impossible, but it was in a spot. So pretty interesting.
I remember when we talked, you told me that story. I remember we talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've probably told that story up till today. That's probably maybe the 7th time I've told that, ever discussed.
Okay.
At the moment.
Wow.
It's just weird. It's part of life, and you digest, as I said, you digest these things over time, and, so everything has a meaning, so.
Truly does. And incredible, the story you talked about after your brother passing, and then, you having some issues and decided to check up on that. Honestly, almost like beyond that fact, your brother kind of looking out for you. So
yeah.
That's great. That's incredible.
It's and not to get out there, it was a thing in his eulogy. When I gave his eulogy and stuff, I talked about how, in the winter we didn't have ice rinks here. We had a pond. We lived on a pond. We were fortunate, and every weekend the place would be 200 people. But we would go out and check the ice. But really, Chris would be the one he would go out on the ice. We'd had a rope, and he would take one end of the rope, and I would hold the other end of the rope. And he'd go out on the ice, and he'd check in the ice, because everybody's going to come and skate on it. And, and then, he'd drop the rope. He always trying to be funny and harass me, because I was a nervous, worrywart about him out on the ice. And he'd drop the rope and test me. But one of the things I went on in his eulogy and just basically said that, his passing so early in life was to go out and, he's checking the ice for us all now. And, he checked the ice for in the next life. And he did for me, because I ended up, probably here today because the warning signs I would have ignored, but because of his passing, I knew. So I know we deviated off the Jaws path, but
not at all. Not at all.
No, this is about more than Jaws. This is about you, Todd.
Yeah, that's how I deal. All good.
we do have a couple comments are backing up. I do have a question or two. I actually have a clip here. If you don't mind, I'm going to pull up in a second. So, sorry, you guys, I'm going to comments. I am trying to get kind of caught up, kind of bringing it in as it pertains to the conversation. So, Vic asked, is your store on Martha's Vineyard? And why don't you let him know where your store is? And then I actually had a clip of you from the 50th, so I thought I'd play that real quick because it's
All
the
right.
inside of the store.
Here we go.
All right.
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right, here we
Do it.
go. All right, you guys at home, check out here. I'll give you a look over the inside of the store, and then tell us where it's located. Here we go.
Oak Bluffs, and this is one of our 4 retail stores in town, and it's one of the places where we keep the Jaws memory alive. I'm Todd Robello. My brother played Michael Brody. His name was Chris Robello.
Mom, I got cut. I got hit by a vampire.
I have one great memory, the day when he says, I got bit by a vampire. We were out on the front lawn, and it was my brother and I and Steven. And he was just asking us question after question. He really did relate to somebody young. You know, it could have been your older brother in a sense.
Han's for old ladies.
I know it's for the old ladies, but just do it for the old man, huh?
My brother passed away at 37. It was fairly tragic, 3 kids. So anything I could do to keep that memory alive and the memory of him, I try to help.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very nice.
that was a big honor to have them ask me to do that. But so where the store is, so it's in Oak Bluffs, and it's very easy. I'm right next to the old Island Theater that's closed now, right next door. So it's the first store that you come to, right next to that. We have a fudge shop in here as well called Murdoch's Fudge next door. So we're easy to find, right in Oak Bluffs, right to the next to the movie theater, and that's the movie theater that was the premiere of the movie where it was shown. Yeah.
Todd, I've always wondered, and every time I go, I say something to my wife, and that I'm going to buy that theater and restore it and just show Jaws all the time. Is there a chance? I mean, because it's right next door of you taking it over and restoring it?
Yeah. The problem is the family that owns the property. It's caught up in a trust, and they're one of the largest holders of real estate on the island. Unfortunately, a lot of the properties are run down. Edgartown took the family to task for property in like an eminent domain proceeding, and it went on for 10 years. And the way the trust is set up, it almost breeds to drag out things and delay them, because in a way, I believe that's how people in the trust get compensation. So being a town leader, for a while, and looking at all the options, if we push too hard and we try to, in a sense, go to the point where we deem the property not safe anymore, and they'll just put chain fences around the property themselves. The town has even offered to rebuild the boxes that hold the movie posters, and they decline the free work. It's hard to explain. I don't want to sit here and tear down people, because I'm not living in their situation. But everybody says just knock it down, knock it down, knock it down. But if you think of an old movie set and used to have the what they call the buildings, you would just see the front of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And just that being there is better than nothing, because then you'd see behind the other buildings, and there's a lot of older buildings in town, the historic, but a lot of them need work. So it's not going to be a public benefit to just go in there and tear it down. It's a facade. That's basically is what we have. And it's to the point where I've asked the family to put just paint over some of the graffiti in little corners. And basically no response. And it's not how I would do things, how my family would do things, but it's not my call. And so you're kind of dealing with a little bit of Blockbuster Video. There's another theater on the opposite corner, and a nonprofit went in there and they restored it to a point, but eventually they couldn't continue and survive. And
Mhm.
you know, there is a comedy club that's trying to make it work over there now. But you know, when you have two of them on two different corners, it's hard enough to kind of keep one alive. You know, I don't have high hopes that this one's going to survive unless somebody like Steven Spielberg comes in and just, you know, because even the offers or things that have been, the numbers have been thrown around in the past, they're not reasonable, you know, and unfortunately we can only really support a movie theater enough for 4 months.
Right.
You know, it's hard to keep it. So, you know, I hold out hope, but I you know, something's got to give. You know, as a theater, it's the days are probably past it.
Well, when I win Powerball this weekend, I'm going to
There we
buy
go.
it. So
There we go.
we'll be neighbors next summer.
Wouldn't that be the coolest job in the world, Michael, to be a philanthropist? Because you spend the rest of your life giving away, you know, the money.
Yeah.
You know, that's the coolest job in the world. You know, so when you win that, there you go. There's your first act of philanthropy.
I like it. Come on,
Janie, how are you? Janie's with us now. How are you, Janie? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still in uniform. I'm still in my scrubs.
Ah,
I came straight in and because
Well,
it
good.
was Todd. I didn't want to miss it.
oh,
That's
thank you.
Yeah.
That's cool. Very nice. We got Nick Hathaway from the island. He's joined us tonight. He's saying hello over on the Facebook page. Nick, yeah, good guy as well. Yeah.
Good
We
island.
have one or two more comments here. Let you guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to kind of balance between the two here. A lot of people comments and questions for you. Val's asking, Todd, can we buy your products online?
So at the moment, no. I have a friend who you know, he tries to run an online business selling Martha's Vineyard stuff online in the off season. And he does some of the flea markets, and I provided him with, you know, like the production shirt and stuff like that. You know, he may take that over. If that happens, I'll give links to people. But I'll tell you, I you know, we worked very hard for 5 months through the tourism season, and
Sure.
you know, I kind of shut it down after that. Personally, if I was 15, 20 years, you know, younger, you know, I'd probably have a different approach. But so I don't. But it doesn't mean that I wouldn't support somebody locally here if they wanted to kind of do some things in the off season, get people, you know, things in people's hands. You know, I would support them in that way. And I do have somebody I've worked with for years, and you know, they've done a little bit of it, so that could happen. But it would just be me passing it on for them to do.
Good, 'cause I still need to get my black sweatshirts.
Yeah, that was a problem this year because a lot of people, you know, the Jaws 50th anniversary, you know, with the, you know, some of the companies that had licensing, you know, they just wanted to deal with summer, you know, you know, we were able to get you know, long sleeve, you know, short sleeves, but hoodies were tough. You know, we got them in one of the other in a navy blue that was a Amity Jaws 50th shirt, but you know, not the one with the kind of the poster scene with the 50th. They kept saying, oh yeah, we're working on it, and you know, next thing you know, the summer's gone by. So I'll still hold out hopes. I mean, it doesn't mean that we can't try to, you know, do something on the side that's just, you know, not, you know, a commercial venture.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing, to be honest with you, it's kind of neat that it's exclusive, that you got to show up to the shop to get some of that stuff. Because, you know, as you know, people on here that have walked into your store, it's easy to pick your store out. Very much so. You walk in the back, you know, I told you a story. First time I walked in your store like 10 years ago, I walked in and I just went bonkers because I saw the banner from the last Jaws Fest, and I saw the calling card stuff hanging up and some of the other things that you had. And I had just come from jumping off the bridge the first time, so I picked up.
There we go.
I picked up one of these guys. Still have it. You know. In fact,
Yeah. You know, we require video proof before we.
Oh, listen! I got video. I got pictures. You want to? I'll send. I jump every time. I'll send you the last one.
You know, sadly, it can be very difficult sometimes. We'll have a grandparent will come in with, you know, 5 kids, to get the shirts, and there's one kid standing off to the side, and he's not, it's what's coming. He didn't jump. So, you don't jump, you don't get the shirt. I'm looking for things around the store I can give the kid because I'm feeling bad, but the parents were holding the line. They were, you got to jump. And I'm going, and I was on the other side. I mean, when the movie happened, they got the right brother. My brother was a fish in the water. I bobbed like an apple. I mean, I was not a good swimmer. So I sympathize with a kid that doesn't jump. It's traumatizing. I can't tell you how many people come to the store. They say they got up on the rail and then they got down and didn't jump. They just couldn't do it,
So every time I go, I try and talk someone into it. And the last time, I just quick shot a message, like when I was on my way down. Judy Pankos, her husband, came down. A couple other people from some of the pages. This one girl happened to show up, and she gets up. She goes like, "All right, I was a diver in high school." She said, "I'm going to do a somersault." I said, "Okay." She got up on the rail. She went, "I'm not going to do a somersault. I'm just going to jump." I said, "Yeah, it's a little higher than what you think it is when you get up there,
Yeah. So the knees wobble, and it's natural. It's. But it's exciting when if I'm driving to Edgartown, middle of summer, and you go out there and the place is just mobbed with people, climbing up there, and and it's one of the great things about the island. It's free. It's free to to do that, and that was what was great on the in June, was there has to be a commercial side to everything, because you have to have a promoter, you have to have events, you have to have people have a reason to come. But Jesus, and when I looked at it, I go, well, how many people were going out to the Jaws Bridge? Then we had the Orca in the harbor here, and that worked out for Oak Bluffs really well. That we got down there, because man, that was a highlight, and it was free.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you shift. Some of the other spots. You go out to the lighthouses. You go downtown Main Street. It was free. And then we had the two Amity Broncos that came to the island, and they pull up, they parked in front of the store here one night, and they're just great people, and they park and everybody take pictures, and again, it was free. So there was a good kind of balance in June for people, for that interaction, and and so you kind of felt like, what, I know we talked about it earlier, it's expensive to come here, but at least there was some good things for people to do, and they didn't have to go broke doing it.
There was great things for people to do. My wife grew up at the beaches of Delaware.
Yeah.
And her family had a place until about, I don't know, maybe about 10 years ago. I mean, she lived summers there. She and her mom and her brother on stuff. And after they sold their place, I took them up to the vineyard. And they loved it. And so we would kind of go back and forth. We'd go down to Delaware. We would rent a house. Honestly, it's on par. I mean, it's costing in Delaware to rent a beach house for the week what it's costing on the island.
Yeah. So it's comparable. No, it is
very much so.
Yeah. So we just try to keep it that way, and it works.
Sure.
Yeah. So good stuff.
Yeah, incredible. All right, let me kick in. We got one or two others here. We got Robert saying, "Hi, Janie." Hello, Janie. Say hello to you there. Let's see. Val's chiming in saying, I lost my brother tragically too. Feel for your loss. Condolences. Robin also kind of chiming in. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. No.
Very nice.
Yep. Yeah. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
Very cool. Well, I kind of, you are talking about some of this nostalgia and some of the things we were talking about when you go back in the shop. The first time I was ever in your shop, I walked in there, and the young lady who was working obviously saw me probably acting like I was 8, which I do that often, so it's really not that big of a deal. But going nuts.
Probably was that the day you had your half of your face painted? And no. I tell you, people were in character. They've been in character all summer. Even today, the gentleman come in and he was decked out from head to toe. And his wife, it's usually the significant. It could be a husband or it could be a wife. or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, whatever. And the people come in and they're doing the duty for the partner. They're doing the duty that, all that this is his or her, moment. They're big fans. They love this movie. And, it's amazing how actually they kind of start to enjoy it, So today he comes in, but by the time I'm done, I'm giving her one of Stephen Duncan books. And, so she can read the book. I said, no, in the book, there's some hot stuff in there. There was an affair where you got to read all about, and so she took the book. She was very happy. And I looked at him, I says, I know you're going to want to get that book away from her pretty soon. So, but no, cool. So people come in and they, they're like yourself. I mean, listen, you come to the island. I mean, if I go to a Patriots game, I'm going to put a Patriots shirt on. If you're going to come to the island, you gotta wear something to represent. So, and some people are pretty. They go to all lengths. So it's good stuff.
I walked in your shop 10, 11 years ago, and young lady saw me going bonkers over the place, and and as I walked up and I had a handful of this and a handful of that, she pulls out from me the official journal or magazine or whatever from the 2012 Jaws Fest and just hands it to me. She's like, I can tell that you're a old fan, and hands it to me. That just impressed me so much. And I went back a couple of years later, and I always head right to your shop, and I go walking in there, and in your glass case you had a fresh box of Jaws 2 Topps cards still in the box. And I asked about buying one or two. She said, well, he's got the whole box, So he's like, you know what? Let me call him. So I waited. She sat there and called you. And I went home with 3 of them. I still have them. I've got them here.
There you go.
Got them here.
Those are a bargain. Those are a bargain.
They are.
They've always just gone up, and they're a great collectible. Just don't eat the gum. But you're talking about my manager, who's managed my stores for years. And her name's Sally, and she's very in tune. She loves the movie. She loves the whole, the backstories of it, and so I'm going to tell you a little story. I helped Susan Goldsmith when she did the Jaws Fest back, the second Jaws Fest, and it was quite an undertaking. I think at one point it was a little bit too much, and so I tried to help her near the end, and and she was really kind to me. She's, she gave me some of the banners. At the end, she's, you want any of this stuff? And then I see she's got like 20 cases of the Jaws Fest programs.
Yeah. And
I says, what are you gonna do? She says, well, I'm gonna take those to the landfill. And I says, I'll take them. I'll take them. So. I took all 20 cases, and of course now I got to store them somewhere and everything. Well, what happened is over the next like 6-7 years, we would always keep I keep a stack in the store, and and just when somebody came in, you knew they were a real fan, that they were like beyond a fan, and they just were really into it. We'd give them a book here and there, and because back then they sold for like $20-$25, and it was just a good gift. And well, I stopped paying attention, and Sally really enjoyed the giving, because when we got to like 2 years ago, I'm like, well, we got all these, this is all memorabilia now. We'll bring it all out. We'll put it in the case and all that. And I go, where is it all? She said, what do you mean? I says, well, where are all the cases? She gave it all away. She had given it all. She had given it. I think I had a case and a half, and one of them had gotten soaking wet and was all damaged or something like that. But she enjoyed the gift of giving. So Nate, you came in and got one of them, so that's good.
I got one. I still have it. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, to me that was just such a cool thing. The fact that she thought enough to do that for me, and love it.
She recognized that you had your facts on the movie, and you really into it, and sure. I mean that's it's a good home for it. So yeah, it's pretty
either that or she knew if she came within 5. What's that?
I always razz her about it. I go, I'm not leaving. You just gave it all away. but I loved it. So.
I was going to say it was either that or she knew if she got within 5 feet of me, she could smell the crazy on me because I was going nuts over the stuff. So she gave me that, I would leave, right?
We got a few of them. We got a few of them, but they grow on you after a while, and you know they. I mean, what are you doing? People come to the island regularly. They're very loyal about coming in and checking in on you and saying hi. I mean, come on, it's you know, it's you know. Listen, I've been a sports fanatic, you know, for years, so I get it. You know.
Sure.
You know, being a collector of anything, it's like it's you know, it's cool. You know, the chase. You know, and finding that little key thing that's a little different than anybody else has. It's you know, how did I know that 30 something years later, we're going to go in the attic and find the poster that was the premiere poster from, you know, from the actual premiere of the movie Jaws, you know, exactly. There we go.
Wow.
I mean, absolutely. Like how that survived used to be all white, and my nephews and nieces had written on it over on the left side there. And
Oh, is that what that is? Here, I thought you had signatures on it.
no, God, we're not on that level. Are you kidding me? That's just scribbles, and but it survived, you know, and it means more because I can vividly remember being there that night, you know, and I mean, you know, I'm gonna be 64, you know, I can remember back 50 years ago going to that premiere and how cool it was, and you know, I can remember where we sat in the little area we sat. It was special.
Yeah.
You know.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah. Good stuff.
Very cool memories. I got a few more comments kicking in here, and apologize. I keep kind of jumping in with that. So, Mark is asking, does your shop close for the season?
Yep. Yes, it does. End of October. So we try to make it as deep into October as we can, but these buildings, you know, were not built with heating systems, and
Sure.
you know, so at this point, you know, and I'll use that as an excuse going forward because, yeah, it's exhausting. It's by the time the season runs its course, you know, and things will slow down, and you know, so you know, then people look forward to you. You know, if you're not around, and it's amazing if you're not around for a while, people like you again. So we'll come back in the spring and do it again. So that was from being in politics. You know, back in the day. You know, sometimes you just kind of disappear for a while. You liked more.
Got to recover a little bit before you come back for another round. Yeah, I can imagine. Victor's asking, Todd, I have to ask you this. What was going through your mind seeing Chris in the pond scene, in the pond shark attack scene?
So,
good question.
Yeah. So I will tell you, you know, he was getting banged around. He you know, he doesn't come. This kid was tough. I mean, he was tough as nails at at that age. And he was in pain because there was a frame under the water, and it kept banging both his and Teddy Grossman's legs, and he was getting banged in the thigh pretty hard, and they had done that scene over and over and over, so it was a difficult scene physically for him. And this kid, I can tell you, this kid was a rock, and so they had to stop a couple times and, you know, to try to change things, but, you know, it continued to happen, and finally they finished. But, you know, I was there that day, and, you know, he complained to me a little bit about it, but that was the extent of it. I mean, I was 13. So, but he, you know, he had bruises. Then, you know, over the next week, he had bruises on his thigh from it. So, yeah, that was, as far as the acting, I mean, you know, he's taken, you know, direction from Spielberg, and you know, he's doing what came natural. I mean, you know, nobody was a professional actor, you know, right there. So, you know, you just try to wing it, and I think sometimes it comes out better. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Todd, I'm going to say goodnight. Grandson has his first baseball game tonight.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For being here.
Oh,
enjoy the rest of your time on the show, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right, Michael. Good stuff.
Home run for Aunt Janie.
Yeah, there we go.
Just get on base. All you gotta do is
Yeah,
get home
yeah,
and hit that ball.
just-
Get
yeah.
home, right?
All you got to do.
Right
Run
down
like
the middle,
hell.
buddy.
Everybody have a great weekend.
All right, Mike.
Thank you,
Bye,
Mike.
Mike.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Enjoy your time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we got Nick. Nick is saying at the Comic Den in Edgartown used to give me the packs of Jaws 2 trading cards for free if I would eat the gum. That's a hard line to cross right there because
That's what it came down to. That's how I got most of my sports cards. They'd buy the pack, eat the gum, and throw the cards away.
that gum was when it was new. You know what I mean? I remember shipping in the 70s and 80s. We didn't like it then. You know, you
No, it
stuck
lasted.
the inside of your mouth on it.
The taste lasted about 30 seconds.
When it was new, if you were to drop the gum on the floor, it would shatter
Shatter, right?
into 1,000 pieces.
Absolutely. It would shatter. That meant it was fresh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We have a couple people chiming on here about the museum and even some comments. I don't know if there's anything we can answer about. I'll definitely pull it up. I believe the Martha's Vineyard Museum exhibit on Jaws is shutting down in a few days. Does anyone know if the new exhibit way over in LA at the Academy Museum will include anything from this one? It's
Yes.
a great question. That I don't know.
I know that it is closing, and
Yeah.
I just received an invitation for the 10th at the Academy Museum in LA. I remember speaking to the young woman. She was here this summer. They were, Spielberg is participating more in that particular, showing.
Exhibit.
Yeah, in that exhibit. So I would assume there's going to be things there that haven't been seen before in LA, only because he's taken an active role in it.
Mhm.
So
Interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
so that that could be interesting. I'm probably this weekend we're doing they're having a 250th anniversary in New London, Connecticut, for the Navy. And they decided about a month and a half ago to do a Jaws theme for the festival.
Nice.
Wow.
So the Orca just arrived again. The replica Orca just arrived in New London, and that'll be displayed on the 6th and 7th, so Saturday and Sunday. Jeff
Oh,
Vork
wow.
is going to be there. I'm going to be there bringing all the memorabilia and merch, and then they've got a couple books signings going on. They're showing the movie a couple times. So, but again, the Orca will be available to be seen for the public. And so there's a Jaws theme going on this weekend. So it's going to be exciting. And I loaded up the van today, so to head out there tomorrow morning. So, yeah.
Well, there we go.
It continues.
Winter time will hit. You'll get some breathing room, hopefully, right? Right before the spring starts up.
Very soon. So it's all good.
Okay, all right, that's good. Because I can only imagine the hours and the time spent during the height of tourist season. I'm sure there's not a lot of sleep and a lot of downtime.
Yeah, and this year was on steroids because listen, the first.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was on steroids. What was going on, with Jaws?
Yeah.
And thank God, because for the island, it rained the first month and a half of the season, and it was about just before the Jaws anniversary came around on the 20th. Just before that, the rain stopped. So, it was tough on a lot of the restaurants and a lot of the businesses. So Jaws, it really bailed a lot of the tourist industry out here on the island and on the Cape, because a lot of people came to the region because of the anniversary. So, yeah, I mean, it was looking out for us. And so, yeah, it's been an exhausting, but I tell you, it's the most rewarding summer, because it was so much fun. Yeah, people just made it fun, So, there you go.
Yeah, Matt's joining us from up in Maine, saying definitely hitting up the museum next time. You gotta go. I tell you what, I was at the older museum. Not that I dislike that one, but the one now is just amazing. I mean, it's just incredible. Jaws or not, it's just beautiful place to go and spend an afternoon. I mean, it really is.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And Matt's also telling us, he's saying, count on me as the lone lover of baseball card gum. Well, Matt, you can have all of it, man. It's all yours. It would shatter and splinter on the floor. That alone tells you something's wrong. You know,
That's right.
Come on.
It builds
Gum.
up your
I mean, we're
immune
talking
system.
from a
It's
gum tree.
okay.
We're kind of rounding out the hour here. We got one or two questions
Yeah.
here. It's just, Doug is asking, was the estuary scene with Chris a 1 day but all day long event?
Yeah, I just remember the one day where they spent the whole day doing it, but it may have had bits and pieces of the day before and day after, because there was more to it than just the interaction with Teddy Grossman, who was on the sailboat and the leg down and all that. I mean, there were other parts I think that were done other places, but it did roll into bring the scene of coming up on the beach, and that might have rolled in the day before, day after, but they got most of it with the shark working and all the machinery and all that kind of stuff done in one day. I think they did like 15 takes of that scene. It was some crazy amount.
Mhm.
Yeah. Start it, put
Big
it back
shark.
in.
Take shark. Even if there was no shark, being the age and being in the water and dealing with that, I'd have looked like a squid. I'd have been inking in the water every time. They'd have had to try and block that out. I mean, dear God. Really?
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked well with me. He was the right person. I tell you, he was a fish. He jumped out. The high school decided they were going to have a swim team. He jumped out day one. No training, no nothing, and he wins the race. It's just, that was Chris. He was strong like that, and he, like I say, when it came to the water, he was a natural.
Right.
Yeah.
Victor's asking if you were in any shots in Jaws 2, and then he's putting you on the spot and saying, okay, Todd, rank 2, 3, and 4. How would you rank?
So they came to us about Jaws 2, the two of us actually. The problem was they wanted somebody, like, even though I was at that time was a little bit older, they wanted somebody 2 years older, a little bit more mature, because they were going more towards that 17-year-old, 18-year-old look,
Right.
summer look, so we were still a little bit too young, but there was potential. But then, at that point, it's not going to work for us in the movie, for my brother or I, because they people would recognize people from the previous movie. It just wouldn't work. So that didn't work out. But as far as ranking, I liked Jaws 2. Now, after Jaws 2, it really kind of ranked back. It kind of went downhill after that. So I'm less critical. I know people are, can sometimes be critical of the movies after the original, but I enjoyed Jaws 2. It was just enough to kind of cling on to. There was a storyline that was, kind of realistic and stuff like that. So I was okay with Jaws 2. After that, I started to lose interest. Got a little cheesy eventually, but
Yeah. Awesome. We got two more here, and then we're gonna kind of hang our hats on that. We're hitting that hour time, and really want to be respectful of your time, Todd, and not keep you in the shop all night long. So we've got Matt's chime in. The end game of the estuary scene was utter perfection. All the shots leading up to the overhead of Grossman and Bruce's mouth are masterclass cinema. And then, of course, the descending leg, which, to this day, I have never seen a practical visual effect that looked as real as that leg bouncing.
That actually caught. They caught the mark there. You got to realize, we didn't see that. So the first time I saw that leg go down was in the movie theater. I didn't know what was going to happen. Same thing with Bed Gardner, when the head come out of the bottom of the boat. Just like anybody else, I was like in the row behind me when that came out. And, so whether you were there watching the film all summer, filming the beach scenes and all that, the movie we saw was very different in a lot of ways. So, yeah.
Mhm.
So, yep.
Awesome. Then Doug's chiming in saying, this has been fun. I got my updated Memories of Martha's Vineyard book in the mail 2 hours ago. It just got re-released, I guess,
Oh,
with
so
some
good.
updates and as
Yeah.
a hardback, I
Oh,
believe, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt dropped a copy off of me. I thought it was terrific. I mean, it really, I mean, the first one was great, but this one really kind of was just, it was even better. So,
Wow. Yeah, I haven't seen the new one yet. I obviously have the original, but I
Yeah.
can imagine. Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. So,
Yeah. And the movie hit number 2. The movie hit number 2 50 years
Congratulations.
later.
There you
oh,
go.
Number
oh,
2.
go
Number
figure. Go figure. 50 years later, they just got to put it on the screen, tweak it a little bit and boom.
I think I heard or read somewhere that they're adding another week.
Oh,
Yep.
really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
That's the, I mean, that's incredible. I mean,
People are gonna see you in those little white shorts one more week. Right?
there we go. Well, actually, that particular scene. So that particular scene got cut.
That's sad. That's so sad.
I know. I mean,
That's
that
sad.
particular
Yeah.
scene got cut from the movie. And it was some outtake, and that's where they got that from, because I run around that movie in these little kind of blue flowered shorts, and so
Ah.
I knew it's kind of the most interesting. The most interesting thing was when they had the pinball machines. I'm one of the kids at
Yes.
the pinball machines when they're walking by very quickly, the pinball machines. Well, I'm dressed in a gray sweater with a collar on. I had just come from church. It was a cloudy day. They weren't going to, everybody knew it was kind of rainy in the morning. They weren't going to shoot, but then they decided they were going to do a couple scenes. So we got called in. At that point, you're going to go and get signed in for the day. So we go down, and I don't think Chris had anything to do that day. So he still went because, throwing the football on the beach, with the gang.
Right.
And next thing you know, I'm in the at one of the pinball machines, and it's kind of in my back, and I'm laughing because all these years later, I knew that day we had gone to church. It was a Sunday, gone to church, and it was after church. And I'm dressed in in this sweater and a nice white shirt with a collar and all that. I'm at the pinball machine on the beach, and that ends up in the movie. I'm going like, you can't make that up. It's the day of
But
work.
you look so good.
Apparently, yeah, my back.
Hey, Father, can you hurry up? I got stuff going on here. Come on.
It's too funny. That's too funny. So that's what it takes
Awesome.
to get in a movie. You got to go to church in the morning and just show up in your attire at the beach.
Incredible.
He's going around thinking Mayor Vaughn's not the only one that can wear a suit. So can I.
That's right.
There you go. Murray Hamilton, who? There you go.
Yeah.
And we've all seen the release stuff from Universal and all, and in the older documentaries and the release photos. Honestly, my favorite thing is hearing these stories
Yes.
behind what was going on besides the movie being shot. I mean, because where else are you going to hear that kind of stuff? I mean, that's just great.
Only on our show.
People ask me all the time, Nate. People ask me all the time. They'll say, well, what's your favorite part of the movie? And they assume I'm going to say something with my brother or something. I liked a lot. My favorite part of the movie, from my perspective, is watching like the town hall scene where with the selectmen and all the local businessmen, because I knew 75% of the people in that room, and most of them have passed. I mean, they were already elder people in the community, but I knew those people, or the friends of my father, or local businessmen, so I knew them. And for me, it's always picking out somebody that I didn't see before, and it's somebody that I knew had passed 30 years ago or something, 35 years ago. So those for me sometimes are the parts. I love the beach scenes because I see a girl I went to junior high with. I see somebody else that was a summer resident that I see on the street, and those are the things for me. I watch it from a different lens, and
I think from your perspective, that's almost like watching a family movie. Your old family movies.
Yes.
That because you were so close to everyone on that island and they were used in the
Yep.
film. It's like, and when the books came out, it's like, oh my God, it's like a yearbook. Look at this.
Yeah, exactly.
And all that nostalgia comes back no matter when you look at it.
Yep.
So,
and there were characters.
I went to, yeah, he went to jail. Yeah, we know him. Okay. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and it really is when a small town, small island, you know, we have a lot of good characters, just, you know, in general, and you know, people had their own successes and, you know, thing in life, but you knew them, and that, you know, and it takes you back to those moments, you know, where you see these people again, and yeah, so you're right, it's a whole different, you know, perspective that I have for it, but. And then, you know, occasionally I watch the movie for the movie, you know, because it really is, it's a treasure. So,
yeah,
good stuff.
Very much so. Very much so. And that's everyone's been people chiming in tonight. People across the pages now that it's out. It's people seeing it in IMAX. People are seeing it, you know, 4K release. I'm going to catch it tomorrow night. People are saying that they're actually seeing little nuances in some of the town scenes and in some of the buildings that they have never seen before. These are people that have seen this movie hundreds of times, so it's kind of neat because at least I changed my perspective when I watch it. What I look for, and it used to be I was all into the whole. The orca and the water scenes, and since I go to the island, I thoroughly enjoy sitting and watching all the town scenes. I truly do. Just sit and look at places and see places, and I mean that's what I look for. And then I look to the nostalgia of growing up in the '70s and going, "Dear God, I used to wear that. Are you kidding me?" To watch the thing to do, you know.
And you know, it's funny you talk about that. We'll talk about it, like, just real quick, the memorabilia. I get a call from Jim Beller like 3 weeks ago. You know, he texts. He's like reaching, texting me, and what's going on? He says, "You're not going to believe this," because you know, he has, I think, the one and only Ringer T Jaws T-shirt from the '70s. You know, still existed. You know, tags. It was from that era, and he calls us. "You're not going to believe this. There's one on eBay. You know, there's one of these on eBay. I've never seen it. I check all the time." He says, "There's one on eBay," and I says, "Well, what are you going to do?" He says, "Well, you're going to buy it, aren't you?" and I look, and you know, he says, "Oh, it's a bargain price. You know, you got to buy it." I look, I go, it's like, yeah, it was $450. I guess I got to buy it. And I turned around and I bought the shirt, and it showed up, you know, 5 or 6 days ago, and you know, it's everything that it was advertised to be. You know, it was from that moment in time. Wow. So you know. So I'll get it framed, and we'll show it in the store in the future.
Oh, that'd be nice. That'll be nice.
It'll be his original piece.
That's,
you know, from back then. So that's good stuff. And next year we'll still continue on in the store because we've always had a little, you know, Jaws section. We'll shrink it down from its present state, but I think next summer we're gonna have a new theme. It's gonna be the Summer of Quint for us. So.
Oh, nice.
So that's where we're working. We're working towards kind of, you know, regrouping. I know it's going to be past the 50th year, but we'll always keep some, you know, visual here, and it's going to be the Summer of Quint.
No matter what you do in that store, you put any kind of Jaws merchandise, it's like Field of Dreams. If you make it, they will come.
They will come. I agree. So next summer, we're already working on it. It's going to be the Summer of Quint. So I got a task.
That's pretty cool. I agree. Yeah. I have to before we leave. I have to thank Todd because Todd really got me. I heard your story about Chris and when you last saw him in that ER. But when I met you back in 2012, my ex-husband and I came into your store, and we were talking. And you, right at that scene, you had the movie playing. Right at that scene, there was Chris in the bed, and you told me that story.
Yeah.
And I felt so honored for you to come and be open as you were about that.
Yeah.
I left your store crying, sir.
I tell you, I didn't know until I sat there with my granddaughter. It all came back to me, and I was like,
and I can understand that. And he was so kind to me that he was supposed to go to watch the movie. And he's like, I can't make it. So he gave me the bag that had Jaws Fest. It was that blue navy canvas bag that they were handing out.
Yeah.
And Todd gave it to me, and I still have it.
Yeah, I was lucky this year. We got a bunch of the ones from the Jaws at 50 premiere, and we gave people that couldn't get it. There were a lot of people that it was sold out, kind of. Not sold.
Yeah.
It was free, but all the tickets were taken. But
Yeah.
we had some of the garb, and we gave it to people that. Sometimes it's just fun because people couldn't get in. At that time. So. Yeah, that would have been one that I would have liked to have seen them having a couple showings that day, because they would have filled that auditorium 5 times over.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hands down.
But yeah, there we go.
Awesome. All right. Well, you guys at home, we want to thank you guys for joining us tonight, and chiming in and sharing some stories as well as some questions. Todd, we want to thank you tremendously, really, for spending the time, whether it's when we're on the island seeing you and talking to you, for spending the time when going to the shop. You do a lot. You do a lot for the island that you live on. That's very obvious. You do a lot for your
I'm
community.
looking forward to you guys coming back. So,
Hey, well, I tell you what, there's
I
already
don't
some
stay. I don't
inklings.
stay in my
So.
scrubs just for anybody. Seriously. Okay, so I came straight on from work because you were here. So.
Well, thank you.
So yeah, thank you an awful lot, Todd. And there's already rumblings amongst the diehards. I don't know any details because I think no one's really nailed anything out about. I don't know about next year, but possibly the following year could be in a mass. It sounds like it's starting to become. People are going to start going back. A lot of people that I talk to are like, "Oh, for the first time on the island, I'm definitely going back."
That'd be 50 of Jaws 2, right? Jaws 2.
It
right?
would. That's exactly right. That's exactly
Jaws,
right. Yeah.
Enough scenes were filmed here, so yeah, we'll have fun with it.
Regardless of whatever year it is, you're still going to have a pilgrimage, regardless.
Yeah, always.
No, this thing has reached the 50-year point. It's going. It's not going to stop, and we're gonna keep it going because it's just too much fun for everybody. I mean, it's just people come, they just build their week, and I saw the businessmen too on the island. They're making donuts with fins on it. They're making fudge. Next door that was red and white. It was like the blood fudge or whatever. Right. It was good. I mean, it's all good fun. So
yeah. Absolutely awesome. Well,
all right, guys.
Want to thank you very much, and I'm only going to ask you to do one thing, Todd. We have a little tradition here as we take out, as hokey as it might sound. This seems to be something we do. So instead of saying goodbye, we do a little fins up, and I let Quint take us out with a little farewell to do. So
there you go. That's it.
Fins up to everybody at home. Thank you, Todd. Thank you guys for chiming in.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
Good night.
Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.
That's your Narragansett.
For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so nevermore shall we see you again.
Good night,
folks.
Guys.
Have a wonderful night. Take care.
So good to see you, Jenny.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye-bye.